Well, hello and welcome to the final part of this webinar series. This is the fifth and final webinar. It's been an interesting week, fully engaged audience, of which it's been a privilege to host all of these webinars. So in the previous two, we were taking a look specifically at certification, UKCA marking and UKTA. So today, to conclude, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what happens after you gain agreement certification from the BBA. Just a quick note that each webinar through this entire week and the attributing slides are available on our website. There should be a link in the chat and I'll post that link at the end of this webinar again. But there'll be a link emailed to you of where you can get these from as well. All the slides, all the recordings of the webinar, so you're not going to miss out, because we really do appreciate that time is precious nowadays. So talking of time being precious, bit of a preamble for the BBA and who we are and what we do. We've been around for over 50 years, helping construction and manufacturing industries build confidence in the solutions, the products, the services that they provide, and build that confidence throughout the entire supply chain within construction. The BBA look and are developing long-term partnerships with clients and associations, and this helps to enable growth in both UK and global markets. But it's important to note, as always, they always remain reassuringly impartial. Final point, that as a for-profit organisation limited by guarantee, the BBA looks to reinvest in the industry as a whole for the benefit of everybody on this webinar today and further afield stakeholders within construction. A few numbers. If you've been on one of these webinars before, you'll have seen these numbers. I'll point out the big ones, which are over 50 years. We've issued more than 6,000 certificates and inspected or had over 1,000 annual inspections. There's a few numbers on there. You can read at your leisure, go back and listen to this recording, have a look at those. But needless to say, we're here for the entire supply chain in construction. But that's enough about the BBA, bit of self-promotion. Let's get to introducing our speakers today. But first of all, what are we talking about? We're talking about getting to grips with post-certification maintenance. So getting your product certified is an exciting step that can open many doors and opportunities. But this is just the first step in a number that need to be followed in order to maintain this certification. So how do you make sure that once you've received this certificate, your products remain true against the criteria it was originally assessed for? Well, you don't unless you have a quality maintenance plan in place. And this is to support the life cycle of the agreement certification. That's why every BBA certificate holder, as part of their certification process, has a maintenance schedule post-product certification. I know I'm saying the word certification a lot here, but this gives both the holder and users ongoing assurance and confidence that the certificate produced is fit for purpose. So what are we going to discover in this webinar? We're going to look at the certificate maintenance schedule, what you should expect post-certification, the difference between biannual surveillance and 3-year reviews, the things that could affect your certificate through maintenance scheduling, FAQs, and finally, a chance to ask any of those burning questions you might have. If you do have any questions, please use the Q&A function in this webinar at any time, and we'll try our best to cover each question at the end. If we don't, we will get back to you after the webinar has concluded, and that will probably be today, if not Monday. So please use this feature, it's important. So that's my bit done. I'm going to hand you over to Ramona and Sean, who are both operation managers in engineering at the BBA. So Ramona, Sean, it's over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter, and good morning, everyone. Myself and my colleague Sean will take you through the post-certification process once you have gained the certification with the BBA. So in this webinar, we'll help you understand more about what actually is the post-certificate maintenance and why is necessary, what to expect during the maintenance cycle of your certificate, and the differences between biannual surveillances and the 3-year reviews. We'll also go through 6 things that could affect your certificate during the maintenance schedule. And at the end, we will go through some common questions about the maintenance that hopefully will help you plan better for your next certification process. And of course, at the end, you are welcome to ask us any questions you may have. So
Okay.
the certification, sorry, I will hand you over to my colleague Sean now to take you through the first slide.
Okay, so rewinding a little bit towards the start of the certification process, we'd just like to introduce you to some of the steps that will lead you to a certificate, which then leads into the maintenance of it. The first and most important step is to select the product or system that you want certified. We'll work with you on identifying the most appropriate solution that's right for your marketplace and getting you the certification that you need that meets yours and your clients' needs. Once we've taken that step, you then submit a formal application to us, and you'll then engage with a number of the BBA team. Primarily, you'll meet one of our sales and accounts managers who'll handle all of the commercial aspects for you on the first stages. And you'll also meet a technical project manager who will be the technical overseer of your certification project. As we go through the process, we've got 3 key areas that we look at. One is the assessment of the product. The other is any testing that needs to be done on it. And the third deals with the factory and the audit part of your supply chain and your manufacturing process. So here we'll introduce you to a number of new people who you won't have met before. One of them will be a factory auditor. You may meet some of our test technicians as they go and do their thing on your products and systems. Once we've reached the stage where we've done the assessment work that we need to do, and we've completed any tests, and we've got a favorable outcome, and we've been and visited your factories and your supply chain, and we're then in a position where we can offer you a certificate. And that's the big step in the process for many people. We can now go out to market with a certified product or system. Once the certificate is issued, we're then into a program of maintenance of that certificate. And as it sounds, maintenance is the regular upkeep of a certificate and the associated things that go behind it. The prime example of that is the production quality plan. Each and every factory that we visit will have a quality plan that has been agreed as part of the certification process. It'll describe what goes into the product, how it's made, and what the controls you have around producing it. And then we go and regularly audit that to ensure that what you're continually putting out through the factory door is what we have certified. Okay. Okay, so how does maintenance work and who's going to be involved in it? Your primary contact is going to be an account manager who will deal with all of the regular interaction you'll have with the BBA. They'll certainly deal with things like invoicing, license fees, and so on. And they're always available to you to speak with and resolve any issues you may have. They're all field-based, so if you need them to come out and see you in person, they're more than happy to do that. Okay. They'll also do their best to add value to the certification process for you. So if we can add any of our additional services, such as ISO 9000 or 14000 certification, they're happy to bring those options to the table for you as well. You'll have your technical people will have interaction with a project manager, a technical project manager. They're all very highly qualified scientists and engineers within the BBA. and they take the product or system through the certification stage. Some of the project managers we have 40 or more years in the industry, so they are real experts in the field, and they'll do their level best to achieve a favorable outcome for you. I'm guiding you through that process. We can't tell you how to do things better, but we'll certainly give you the support that you need to go through the process. Your factory teams will certainly meet a technical assessor or a factory assessor. They'll go out to the factory for a visit as part of the certification process, and then you're going to expect to see them twice a year after that, when they visit your factories for audits. They'll collect data on the day of the audit, and they'll also be a conduit for that information back into the technical team in the BBA as well. Okay, and lastly, you'll probably have some engagement with our client engagement team. Again, these are sort of primary contacts for you. Any issues you need resolving or any queries you have, they're always on hand to resolve it, whether that's a query over an invoice or if there's any additional work you want us to take on for you. They are the conduit into the BBA for you.
Okay, so we will take you now through why we require post-certificate maintenance. And first of all, you have to think of the certification maintenance process as your secret weapon, which helps to keep your product verified. As Sean mentioned earlier, once a certificate has been granted, the continuous surveillance and maintenance of your certificate verifies that the product has been originally assessed, remains at the same level of quality. And this will take place for the duration of the certificate life cycle. We do know, however, that throughout the life of a certificate and a product, things will change, such as raw materials, suppliers, processes as they get better and more efficient, and even teams. So when these do change, how do you feel that your product remains true against the criteria that it was assessed for? Well, the post-certificate maintenance, as it follows the life cycle, it does make sure that all these changes that can take place at any point in time and are taking place during the production are being assessed and addressed in time to avoid any potential invalidity of the certificate. Doing this should give you peace of mind and convenience to plan for the long-term development and success of your product. So we're going to explain to you now what we actually do during the certificate maintenance. First, the biannual surveillance audits. What do we do? This covers production checks, the manufacturing site, where we verify the processes, the materials, the formulations, that they remain unchanged, or whether any changes that have occurred are acceptable and do not invalidate the performance of the certified product. These audits take place twice a year, normally at an interval of 6 months, and typically they are being organized at a convenience with your factory. What to expect during these audits? During the audits, we confirm that the main ingredients that make the product certified, the quality controls operated on the incoming materials, the ongoing process, production, quality checks, and the checks carried out on the final product remain the same against the criteria that the product has been certified. Every 3 years from the time the certificate, from the day the certificate is being issued, we carry out a review. There's a compulsory review, and it assesses the data on which the initial assessment has been based on. We carry out technical checks, and we review also a range of documentation and processes around the product itself, which includes running through the previous 3 years surveillance reports, any complaints raised either to the BBA or to the manufacturer about the product certified and how these have been handled, any references to critical changes that have taken place on the product or production, any new tests conducted that may benefit the product certified and potentially even improve any performances, and anything that could invalidate to some extent the product being sold as BBA certified. What would be the common questions around the maintenance that we've come across, and we would like to try and take you through them now in the hope that it will shed some light and understanding on what happens during the maintenance. So what do I do if I'm not sure whether a change in my production process may jeopardize my certificate? Well, first of all, any changes that the manufacturer wants to put in place should not jeopardize the product. A manufacturer would know if the change implemented may affect the certified product performance to some extent. In all cases, any changes being made should be informed to the BBA prior to being implemented. And BBA will assess with you whether the change has an impact on the certified product or whether the change is minor and the overall performance remains unaffected.
Isn't certificate maintenance just another way for the BBA to make money? Well, it's true that we do charge fees for maintaining certificate and operations that go around it. But there's a lot of work and a lot of it that the industry doesn't see upfront that goes into maintaining the currency of your certificate. It's very much a live document and it's a live process, and we do charge appropriate fees to keep it going along its way.
I don't see, for example, the difference if I change just the color of a product. Surely this doesn't affect my certificate. Changing the color of a product actually could affect some performance characteristics from durability to fire performance. Depending on the application of the product, of course, this has to be assessed and addressed again. So the best way would be that if you do decide to change just the color, to still inform the BBA, provide any information about what the color change is, and the BBA and our colleagues in the technical department will review and confirm whether the change doesn't affect or whether some performance characteristics will be affected.
On occasion, a 3-year review has taken place while other jobs are happening simultaneously. Why does this happen? The 3-year reviews are tied strictly to the issue date of the certificate and take place slightly in advance of every 3-year anniversary. It's true that there may also be other ongoing work that you've commissioned in the meantime, whether that's to update your product range or make some changes. But it's still vital that the formal review happens. It's independent of any other work. As part of the review process, we place quite a focus on declarations and confirmations from yourselves that the product remains unchanged and that you're using it in the same way as which it has been certified. It's also a chance to look back at the previous 3 years and look for trends and other things that may have happened in the factory audits that would give us a better overall picture of how the product is performing and continues to perform.
Lastly, for example, right, sorry, I thought we'd been through everything, apologies. If anyone has any questions, or have we managed to go through everything? Thank you very much for your time. We definitely welcome any questions from anyone.
Fantastic, Sean, Ramona, thank you so much for taking us through that. Vital important steps to note, really, and just the rationale behind why it's important, and some of the FAQs that you went through there, important for people to note and understand why there is a maintenance schedule. Absolutely. So just a couple of questions, like I said at the start, that when we were chatting, I think there's one that I'll tackle in a moment. There's one here from Fergal, and he asks, do quality plans need to have the agreement of both parties before they are updated / amended?
Yes, definitely, I would say. First of all, because it confirms that the manufacturer agrees that what the information they declare in the quality plan is true to the product that has been assessed. And the BBA verifies that the information provided, the processes, the checks that the manufacturer puts in place are sufficiently robust to ensure that the performance will be maintained throughout the life cycle of the certification. So definitely the agreement is important. It just recognizes that both parties have agreed that those will be the processes, the materials to be used for that product that has been assessed.
Cool, fantastic. The final one from Stephen, and I think I'll take this, but Sean, Ramona, feel free to dive in as well. So because at the start I've been saying that the BBA look to reinvest in the industry for the good of all stakeholders and everyone that's listening, one question we got was, where has the BBA invested in construction? And the BBA have been going for over 50 years, and I certainly haven't been with them for 50 years, so I can only speak for myself in terms of the 6 to 8 months I've been working with them. But for me, it's been a year of transformation. There's been a lot of changes recently, and what the BBA are doing right now is looking to very much invest in training in the industry. So, and that's not to take it lightly. You know, they're looking at apprenticeships, sponsorships, supporting innovative products, and looking at the whole supply chain and where we can really offer our support, not just within certification, but so the whole supply chain benefits from what the BBA is doing. Going back to the training, it's very much looking at it holistically and seeing what areas of construction need that kind of training, basically to help mitigate risk and make it a safer place. Sean, Ramona, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I suppose as a professional services company with a huge amount of very experienced staff, we also contribute a lot to likes of the standards committees, both within Britain and Europe. We sit on a number of technical committees, working groups, steering groups, trade associations, and so on. So we're not only assessing products according to our own knowledge, but we're also building and disseminating knowledge through those avenues as well.
Yes,
fantastic.
Totally agree with Sean. Yeah.
Brilliant. Really appreciate that, and it's good to know. More to come from the BBA, I feel. And on that note, because it's Friday, finishing a little bit early today, so I just think it's fair that we do that. First of all, I'd like to thank Sean and Ramona for being here today and imparting their knowledge. It is very much appreciated. Thank you so much.
That's great. Thank you very much for your time, and have a good weekend, everyone.
And I'd just like to thank everybody for joining us throughout the entire week. It's very much appreciated. I know time is of the essence, and it's very short for everyone today, so I'll wrap up very quickly. You'll be receiving an email about an hour after this webinar. There'll be a survey link at the bottom, and all that survey link, I'm not going to bore you to tears with loads of different questions. It's just one singular question on that survey. It says, what topics do you want us to cover? Please fill it in, because we want to add value in the industry, and we want to talk about the topics that are interesting for you. We have a lot of knowledge in the BBA, and we want to impart it more, basically, and that's what we do through these webinars. So please check that out when the email comes through. So finally, from myself, Ramona, Sean, and the BBA, thank you so much for joining us all week. It's been an absolute pleasure. Look to see you soon on webinars coming up in July, TBC, to be announced. Join the mailing list and you'll be first to hear about them. But finally, thank you and goodbye.